Licensed games. Have you ever stopped and noticed that they really don't pop up as often as they used to? They are still being made to this very day, but they aren't as strongly marketed or as commonly talked about. From the 1980s to the 2000s, they would flood the shelves of your local game stores. They would even creep up as random ads on your television while watching your favorite networks. Licensed games were everywhere. But what makes a game a licensed game? A licensed game is a video game that is developed to tie in with other pieces of already existing IPs, or intellectual properties. Those would include things such as comic books, television shows, popular films, and even the occasional company mascot. It wasn't uncommon that when a new show or film came out and was expected to be a smash hit, a video game tie-in would be made to cash in on it. It felt like everybody and their estranged uncle was getting a game. You get a game. You get a game. You get a game. Everybody gets a game! However, more often than not, since the license is the main priority, the actual quality of the games themselves tended to be lackluster. Broken controls, ugly graphics, barely fun to play, you name it, they probably had those issues. Unfortunately, the tactic of brand recognition often worked back in the day. Since man's greatest mistake, the internet, wasn't as widely used as it is now, there wasn't a true mainstream way to tell if a game was going to be any good or not. Gaming magazines existed, yes, but only hardcore fans of gaming had those anyway. Also, as was the case with many of us, video games were usually gifts from other people when we were kids. If said people knew that we liked a certain TV show or movie, saw a game based off of it, and that we had the appropriate system to play it, they would usually pick it up without a second thought. The intentions were good, but of course, we, as the ones receiving the game, would possibly be stuck with a travesty that would leave a sour taste in our mouths. That's not to say that they are all bad though. With enough love and care, just like any game, these can be genuinely good. Disney's Aladdin for the Sega Genesis is widely considered to be one of the best examples of this. It not only sold more than 4 million copies, it's also considered one of the best games for the system, which leaves us with the subject of this video, Cool Spot for the Sega Genesis. First, I bet you're all asking the same question if you haven't grown up in the late 80s and early 90s. I was born in 96, so I don't blame you. Who, or what, is this red circle with the cool shades? Well, I'll tell you. Spot, creative name I know, was the mascot for the soda brand 7UP. From 1987 to 1997, this cute little guy and his friends, who all look exactly like him, would appear throughout various commercials for the aforementioned soft drink. They would tell you it's the uncola, because drinking regular cola made you look uncool somehow. Gotta love marketing! Since he was a mascot that was around during the 16-bit era, games were made to cash in on the little guy. One of those being, of course, Cool Spot. Developed by Virgin Games, the game was created by David Perry. Released in 1993 and developed in about half a year, Cool Spot marked its spot on the Sega Genesis. Sorry, I just couldn't help myself. I'm so sorry. Other versions would follow suit for systems such as the Game Gear, Master System, and even Nintendo's SNES and Game Boy. For the sake of this video, I will be primarily covering the Genesis version. It's the version I have on hand, and it's also the one that I am most familiar with. So let's pop in the cart and see what this game is all about. This intro is pretty adorable. A cool thing back in the day was that games made for the Sega Genesis would sometimes do a cool twist on the game boot up screen. It was so cool to see. It's really nice that the folks at Virgin Games took an opportunity as well. Oops, I've been gushing a little too much here. Let's just get back to the game. Wow. The product placement is front and center. Joking aside, this intro is pretty dang rad. You have Spot emerging from the 7UP logo, and then he begins to surf on the bottle. The music that plays alongside it is pretty dang good as well. It's making me want to go out to the beach all of a sudden. For the actual menu, we see that it has two options. We could either jump in and start the game right away, or tinker with the game settings. For the settings, we can change the difficulty of the game, decide whether or not to turn off the music and sound effects. Might as well mute your TV at that point. Listen to the music through the sound test, or change the controls of the buttons. After changing the buttons around, let's get ready to play. So, what the heck do you do in Cool Spot? Why is Cool Spot doing the thing? Well, the premise is really simple. One day, and I'm not joking when I tell you the name of the villain, a man named Wild Wicked Wily Will desperately wants to prove that the Spot species really does exist. In other words, it's a plot that wouldn't be out of place in the Fairly OddParents. So Wild Wicked Wily Will has set up traps, and unsurprisingly, all of them were sprung and many of these little rat dudes are now imprisoned. I wouldn't be surprised if this was how they were all trapped.
Ooh, a piece of candy. 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 Ooh, a piece of...
However, not all hope is lost. One Spot was just happening to be cruising around on the product placement bottle, and after coming ashore, discovers a hero wanted message that will give someone with OCD nightmares. Oh my god, where do I start? Ah! After reading this, he sets off to save his friends. Cool Spot, like most other mascot games from this era, is a 2D platformer where you run, jump, beat up enemies, and collect a bunch of stuff from all over the place. The controls are simple. Move around with the D-pad, use a button to jump, and use another button to shoot soda bubbles to dispatch enemies. The moveset is nothing special, but it serves its purpose fine. Even though, yes, you can get to the end to find your buddy, nah fam, you gotta be cool to even be allowed to save him. So how does one be cool? Throughout the level, there are floating red spots all around, and Spot must collect enough of these to fill up his cool percentage meter to a certain point. Don't worry if you forget how many points you need to get. The game will literally spell it in your face when you're able to save your buddy from captivity. Once you get to the cage with enough coolness, shoot the lock and BAM! You save your buddy from the evil clutches of Wild Wicked Wily Will. It's as simple as it sounds. While collecting spots is the main goal, there are other items you should keep an eye out for since they can be very helpful. Allow me to talk about them for a sec. If you want to boost your coolness a lot faster, collect the 7UP logo. They give, you guessed it, 7% towards the meter. It might not sound like a lot, but trust me, the cool points add up quickly, and if you want to finish the level faster, do not skip on these. Another useful item to look out for is the 7UP bottle. Usually dropped from dispatching enemies, these replenish your health by a considerable amount. The game isn't terribly difficult, but enemies and other objects will be chipping away at your health, so get them before they literally float away. Then you also have your other basic items as well. There's a stopwatch that will increase the time limit by 30 seconds. Should have said that there was a time limit. 1-ups which grant you an extra life, checkpoint flags that mark your progress after dying, and also if you get lost, collecting certain spots will reveal hands that point you in the right direction. The controls for the game are pretty responsive and tight for the most part. However, if there is one thing I am kinda mixed on, is how Spot builds up momentum. At first, moving him around makes him go very slowly. After holding the direction button down for a bit, he soon builds up speed, and then eventually, he will be running like he has to take the world's biggest crap. My main issue with this is that it takes way too long to build up your speed. I know this isn't a Sonic game or a momentum-based platformer, but I wish that Spot's walking speed was a tad faster. Maybe have a run button? However, thinking this over, this might be for the best because enemies pop up so frequently, and more often than not, you need to stop to attack them. On the bright side, jumping around will help you move faster, so definitely take advantage of doing this when you can. It cuts down on travel time considerably. One last thing that Spot can take advantage of are these floating bubbles all over the place. He can bounce on these to help him move around. However, there is one special bubble to be on the lookout for. That would be the capture bubble. Spot can hop in one of these and use it to float upwards for a short amount of time before they inevitably pop. What's even cooler is when you time your jump just right, Spot can hop out a lot higher from the bubble, allowing you to access certain areas easier. While they are more often than not used to help look for hidden goodies, still take advantage of capture bubbles when you do find them. I'll go into the level design and a certain aspect that sticks out later on when I do walk you through each of the game's levels, but before that, let's also talk about another part that sticks out: the presentation. First and foremost, let's talk about the main star himself, Spot. For a red dot sporting sunglasses, he exudes loads of personality. Whether it would be him just standing there snapping his fingers, polishing his sunglasses, and even doing a sick trick with a yo-yo, this little man is very expressive. This is also aided by how many frames of animation are packed in. For a licensed game? No. A video game from this era? It's pretty impressive. I also think that his high-pitched voice is comically adorable. From saying a simple word such as okay, or careening off into a bottomless pit. It helps in establishing Spot as a character, and most importantly, it never gets on the grating side. Heck, even he is this game's health bar. See his face in the corner right there? Every time you take a hit, the face will slowly start to peel off. Of course, when peeled off completely, you lose a life. The animations for losing a life or running out of time are freaking hilarious. Yes, you may have lost a life in the harsh battle out there, but don't worry, the comedy will soften the blow. As for the rest of the game, it also looks great. The environment set pieces are really nice to look at. Whether it would be chilling at the beach or hanging out inside a wall, I love the style of the foreground so much. As for the enemies, they also have their humorous quirks. Having derpy faces, running around in underwear, or just being cozy in some pajamas. The backgrounds in the game do look good, but some, as we will discuss later, look better than others, and some do distract me from the experience at times. There is one more aspect that truly shines too. That, my dear viewers, is the music. It is so good. It's so good that I literally played the whole OST on a car ride. There is not a single bad track or one that I can't forget about once it gets in my head. 3 songs are so great that they might be some of the best Sega Genesis tunes ever. I'll play a snippet of some of them. Third tune though, I'll share that with you once we discuss the levels. So, without further ado, let's see what challenges await our little Spot buddy. The first level that we have is Shell Shock. After finishing up surfing, Spot sees himself on a beach. Despite the cozy music, there are plenty of threats roaming around. We have dragonflies that shoot lasers and crabs that pinch those cheeks. I hope that he means the face! This area is also home to one of my personal favorite enemies, the hermit crabs. You see, they have those shells which make them impervious to your soda bubbles. Hitting them at the right time removes their shell, and they run around in their underwear. It cracks me up every time. I kid you not. For the first level, it's pretty solid. It gives you room to learn the controls, not too many of the spots are hidden behind objects, and it also has a few branching paths. I also like how small Spot feels compared to everything else around him. It's a recurring theme you'll see throughout the game. One of my favorite tropes of gaming is shrinking the character down and making them feel so small. Seeing stuff like a beach chair, which would seem normal to us, be about 100 times the size of Spot, just piques my interest in a certain way. It makes you feel like you're a lot smaller in this already big world. Kinda like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So, for you hardcore Spot collectors out there is a reward for getting even cooler with your cool points. If you collect even more spots past the required amount, you can access this game's bonus level after saving your buddy. Not only that, after finishing a level, depending on how much time and coolness you have, you also have a chance to score extra lives with Spot floating upwards based on how well you did. So get out there and be cool. Here we are, the bonus level. So get this, we're inside a 7UP bottle, and just like before, the objective is to collect spots and rack up the cool percentage. This time, there is a twist. Hidden within each bonus level is a huge letter to find, 6 in total. That is the real main objective of these areas. Collecting a letter adds a continue, so if all of your lives are lost, instead of getting the sad game over screen, you start from your last checkpoint with some more lives handed to you. In case you were wondering, this theme playing is that third favorite tune of mine. Special kudos to the game's composer, Tommy Tallarico. He did an excellent job on this game's OST. However, don't let this music fool you. These levels can be extremely challenging. The time limit is a lot stricter, and you have to really be on your toes to collect everything that you can. It also doesn't help that later on, spiked balls are added that can actually cause damage to you, lose all of your health, and you're booted out. Despite the difficulty, these can be fun and well worth taking on. Plus, getting continues is very useful in old school games like Cool Spot. Since this is a 7UP game, each letter put together spells Uncola. Yay! Even more product placement! With all of that said, these stages are still a fun time. Alright, let's move on and see what lies in store. Next up, we have Pier Pressure. Spot finds himself on a pier with a huge boat docked in the background. To save his next buddy, he needs to climb up and down various ropes, all the while making sure not to get hit by those pesky inchworms. There are also these bugs that like to get in your business, crabs that love to strut their stuff, and even fish that like to hawk loogies. It also reinforces that you should be on your guard at all times since an enemy or two could be around the corner. And of course, this funky track helps make Pier Pressure a fun time. Overall, this level is fun and challenging. I loved playing it. Now it's time for Off the Wall. This time, Spot finds himself, you guessed it, inside a wall. Just like Pier Pressure, this level is compact and makes you feel like you're traversing a maze. Better have your tetanus shot, because there are plenty of environmental hazards to deal with. Rusty nails and barbed wires are littered everywhere. Let's not also forget about the mouse traps that can catch you off guard. Step on the right end of it, and you'll simply be launched back. Step on the wrong side, and it will clamp on you. Hard. Black widows are crawling around, so make sure to stop and shoot them before they descend. The best enemy by far in this game are these cute mice who are wearing pajamas. They peep out of the holes in the ground and hurl pieces of cheese. Do not take these guys lightly, since more often than not, they will launch their assault from both sides. I'm gonna say it, Off the Wall might be my favorite level. It's fun, frantic, the music is fantastic, the mice enemies are a hoot, it's just so good. I hope the levels keep getting better from here. Waiting around. At first I thought it was wadding, but waiting makes more sense for the pun. This time, Spot is traversing a kiddie pool. Frogs are hawking loogies from underneath, while our good old product placement buddy is hopping on little boats and rubber duckies.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun.
The real challenge begins when it's time to climb up. While discovering that we are in a surf shop, Spot has to jump and balance himself on these model blimps. The enemy up here is that guy that flies the airplane. Be on guard and take him out before he takes you out. Another thing that makes waiting around challenging are these cute little UFOs. If Spot sticks around on them for too long, they'll tilt over and he'll fall through. This could either result in you falling into the pool and drowning, or being set back, losing precious time in the process. What can kick you in the teeth is that most of the hidden collectibles can only be obtained by falling through the UFOs and getting sent back. Don't be surprised if this level takes you a few tries. All in all, I really do like waiting around. It's not as good as Off the Wall, but I still think it's a solid level, and the theme is still pretty cool. Toying around. Spot now finds himself in some sort of toy store. Dice, piles of coins, fire trucks, and other things litter the counters. The enemy variety here is pretty cool too. You have to face wind-up dentures, killer robots, slimy balls that explode when hit, all good stuff in that regard. Although, with that said, this level really isn't all that fun. Even though the foreground elements are interesting, the background art is very pitiful. This is supposed to be a toy store, right? Then why are there only 2 types of toys on the shelves back there? I'm not even kidding. They copy and paste the same 2 toys everywhere, and they aren't even good-looking toys at that. Waiting Around, the previous level, had a nice variety of items on its shelves. So what gives here? As for the level itself, it isn't bad, but because a lot of the environment is littered with the same objects, it can be a little hard to remember where to go, even with the spot hands pointing me in the right way. It especially gets worse when you fall off and hit the ground below, and it takes a long time to get back to where you need to go. I've gotten a timeout or 2 every time I get to this level. That is so annoying. Yeah, this level really doesn't do it for me. Let's just move on. Radical Rails. Wait a minute. That song is the same one that they use for when you clear a level. You sneaky little devs. In this one, Spot finds himself in a factory that is filled with plenty of rails. If you want to get anywhere, you're gonna have to fight the laws of physics by constantly jumping all over the place. Mainly due to the fact that if Spot lands on a rail, he will roll down faster than Sega losing their grip in the console market. Luckily, there is soft ground to eventually land on, and there are also some areas where you can stop for a sec before continuing your descent into madness. A positive that I'll give Radical Rails is that because you're rolling around at the speed of sound, there are no enemies to get in your way since the main culprit is navigation itself. However, I will admit that there is a bit too much jumping required to get around. Yes, jumping is a thing you do a lot in platformers, shocker I know, but here it is absolutely insane. It got to the point where even though I do usually try to unlock the bonus level every time, and Radical Rails, nope, I just get the standard amount of cool points and call it a day. Overall, this level is okay. It does have an interesting setup, but it's just too cumbersome to move around in. I will say this, I'll take this level over toying around any day. Plus I like that funky music. Next, we have Wound Up. Yay! Another toy store level. Great. So take everything that I have said about that last type of level, and basically make everything more bloated and worse. This level is even more of a chore because of how big it is in size compared to toying around. So yeah, do your best to not fall down below here too, or else you will lose precious time. A lot of time. I'll say that the race car enemies are silly and the Eraserhead goblins are funny looking. They were pretty cool. Other than that, there is not much to talk about here. Next! Here, now we arrive at Loco Motive. Again, we find ourselves at the toy store. Getting really tired of this place. This time, Spot is riding a moving train. Before we go any further, let me introduce to you the worst looking background art I have come across in this whole game. Especially thanks to that ugly looking baby doll. Seriously, I'm going to see that thing in my nightmares. Aside from that and maybe the tricycle, those are the only things that are on the shelf. The color of the wall also looks drab and boring. Granted, this is a speeding train, so the background is going to move rapidly, but oh no honey, that shouldn't be the excuse for why this background is ugly. A missed opportunity to make a model train themed background based off of the Wild West. Just saying. Alright, ugly background art aside, I do think that this level is fun, and is probably the best out of all of the Toy Store levels. I enjoy running around on the train itself, and the enemies here are pretty cool. You have these birds that poop eggs on you, bandits that are better shots than Yosemite Sam, and coal miners ticked off at you because they are grumpy and have been probably working 12 hours straight with no breaks. Just like waiting around, once you get to the caboose, you have to ascend upwards and deal with precise platforming. Those sussy UFOs come back too, so just remember to jump right away when you land on them. I realize that I have been very harsh with the toy-themed levels, but it's mainly because they keep reusing this level type over and over. This is the 3rd time already. Plus, those levels weren't much fun. I would have been happier if they cut out Wound Up and have this as the other toy level. Loco Motive is actually a breath of fresh air, and the music is fun enough to keep me going. Hey! I managed to find one toy level that I actually enjoyed! And thank God this is the last time we'll see that store. Now we find ourselves back to the wall. Finally, a level theme that I not only enjoy, but it is once again very fun to play through. Oh mice wearing pajamas, I have missed you so much. Aww. There isn't much to add that hasn't already been said about the last wall level, but I'm happy to play through this type of area again after being fed the toy store way too many times. The only really new thing they add here is a lightning bolt enemy that jumps around. Not really hard to take out, but I still like it. Another solid level. We have a little bit more to go, so stay in your seats or bed, and let's keep on going. Dock and roll. Yep, at this point the level themes are just being reused. Guess they kinda ran out of ideas. Just like before, be on your toes since enemies, especially bugs, are around every corner. Also, remember how I talked about how Spot can build up momentum? Well folks, welcome to the only level that takes advantage of this. I'm not even joking. When you get to a certain point, there is a huge gap that has a trail of spots waiting to be collected. In order to fully get over this gap, you have to build your speed up to the fastest you can go, and then jump over it. It's good to see that this game mechanic didn't get completely wasted. Nothing else to really add here. Overall, a good level, even with a lot of crap being thrown at you. Now, we have finally arrived at the last level of the game, Surf Patrol. We have found ourselves back at the place where it all started, the beach. Just like before, we deal with streaking hermit crabs, crabs that pinch them cheeks, and balloons to hold on to for dear life. Before we save the last spot, remember how I was hinting about a certain aspect that stuck out to me about the level design and gameplay? Well, it's time to reveal what that is. Drumroll, please! There are no boss fights at all. Yeah, no boss fights. This was the other thing that stuck out to me when I played this game a handful of times for footage. For a platformer in the 90s, the decision to not have any bosses or a final boss at the end really struck me as odd. Bosses were always a staple to give you an obstacle to overcome, and for the game to have more variety. Yes, this unfortunately means that you do not ever fight Wild, Wicked, Wily Will. Don't get me wrong, the game itself is fun to play as is, but a big bad dude or something like that would have been nice. It really is a shame that you do not fight Will. He never shows up in the game. Then again, there might be a reason for this. Cool Spot was already finished being developed, and when it came time to come up with a plot synopsis, they just simply made up the story in like 5 minutes and called it a day. I mean, let's be real. You didn't really play a platformer for the plot back in the day. It was for, well, the game. But that's just a theory. A gamer theory! After we save all of the spots, since we beat the high score, we get to see all of our spot buddies spell out the longest version of the word cool, and watch as the credits roll, while Spot stands on a cold can of 7UP.
Beautiful.
Cool Spot could have been a game that only cared about marketing soda to you and nothing else. It could have been a buggy, unplayable mess that may have ruined video games for some people. This is why most folks have problems with these types of games. Some companies only cared about the dollar signs, and even if the game was trash, as long as it made them money, they didn't care. They got the brand recognition they wanted. That was always the bottom line. But luckily, the people at Virgin Games really buckled down and focused on the most important thing about any video game. Making it good. Solid gameplay, good graphics, and great music. It didn't blow me out of the water or anything like that. but Cool Spot manages to be a ray of light amongst the trashy pile of licensed games. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. It may have some flaws, and sure, there isn't much variety in the gameplay itself, but what is here is pleasantly fun to play. Before we close off the video, there is actually a bit of trivia that I would like to share with you. Did you know that in European territories, they had to remove any and all references to the 7UP brand? That is mainly because over there at the time, 7UP was being distributed by PepsiCo, and their brand mascot was Fido Dido. He's not as cool as Spot, but hey, at least the game came out over there. The Uncola word was also swapped out with the word Virgin, since Virgin Games was the developer. Also, back when this game was released, if you completed the game on difficult mode, collected all of the letters, and have not used a single continue, you would get a special screen. Virgin ran a contest where players would win cool prizes if they took a picture of the screen and sent it in the mail. The last thing is, believe it or not, this game would get a sequel, Spot Goes to Hollywood. It was released in 1995 for various platforms, including the Sega Genesis. It's yet another interesting game, but I think for now, we'll save that adventure for another day. If you ever want a good example of a licensed game done right, then check out Cool Spot. Even if you are unfamiliar with the character, or not the biggest fan of his drink, I believe that you can still enjoy this game regardless. Also, hopefully this game will one day make a comeback and hit modern platforms. I mean, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom did it, but only time will tell. Alright, with all of that said, if you excuse me, I have to go head out to the store. I don't know why, but for some strange reason, I'm really craving a bottle of 7UP right about now. Hey everyone! Thanks for watching. Sorry it took forever and a half to get another gaming video out, but in the end, I'm so happy to get one out after so long. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like. If you want to see more videos like this one, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I can't promise when another video comes out, but hitting that bell will notify you of when I upload. If you want to see another video that I did, then check out my Sonic 1 retrospective. I also stream here on occasion too, so if you want to chill and enjoy some video games together, I do that as well, and I'll announce in advance when I do. Also, if you are a fan of Cool Spot like I am, why not comment down below your thoughts on the game, and also tell me if I did this game the justice it deserves. Last thing, sharing this video is also greatly appreciated. Hard work went into making it, so hey, spread the video around if you know people that also like gaming video reviews. Anyway, this has been JG Entertainment System, and I'll see you next time.